Hello there, and welcome to Channels Beam. I am Victor Matthias. The Nigerian society, just as any other, has a myriad of ills plaguing it. One could easily call out the ones that affect the populace as a whole, including corruption, lack or inadequacy of the basic amenities, which tops the list. However, rape is a plague that's in the news almost every day. But what we don't see is relevant authorities putting enough efforts to ensure the plague is stamped out or reduced to a barest minimum. Recently, concerned Nigerians staged marches in Lagos and Abuja to sensitize the public on the need to shun rape. Today on the program, we will be focusing this topic with Ayodeji Oshowobi, an advocate for a rape-free Nigeria, and other Nigerians from around the globe. But first, let's take a look at other trending topics in the social media.
Yanya blast. Nigerians home and abroad took to Twitter as news of an early morning Monday bomb blast in Yanya Motor Park broke on both traditional and new media. Persons who were at the scene of the blast tweeted gory pictures of the victims, whose bodies were bloodied or, in some cases, mutilated. Musiliu Obanikoro. Nigeria's Minister of State for Defense, Musiliu Obanikoro, got his turn on the trends map after posting a tweet which read, "Cold bottle of beer for this hot sun." Nigerians online did not take kindly the minister's tweet in light of the nation's security challenges. Obanikoro, however, denied posting the tweet personally, saying his account was hacked.
Interesting trends, but we have to move to the topic of the day with our online contributors.
I believe we have more rape cases right now. Back in the days, of course, rape did exist, but I think it's because we're having more publicity put on rape, we're having more people speaking out, and we're also having more attention being put on rape. I want to say rape has always existed, but it's not pronounced right now. So yeah, we've always had rape, but it has really increased in recent times.
There was this oppression on the women entirely in Nigeria. Right now, with the media reportage that people have been enlightened enough to know their rights and how to come out, there was some sense of stigmatization when it comes to rape. Instead of it being on the rapist, it's been oppressed. It's been really challenged on the women that are being raped.
The whole thing boils down to society as a whole. Any law enforcement or government agency, their perception and the way they deal with the whole issue of rape has to do with our society as a whole. So when it comes to rape and anything rape and gender violence and the legislation will drive everything you can think of. So basically, it depends on us, as a whole. Then you mentioned the cultural thing as well. That has always been there, and that will be there. But the only change and the only change I see, that's gone on with that is, now even our parents now have been educated now. They know what's going on now. Then people communicate more with children now. Those days, you see parents are not really as communicative. So. That whole barrier is always there, especially religious. That's one thing you actually didn't mention, which is the religious issue there. That, no, because she dresses that way, then definitely, she actually brought it upon herself. So all those is actually changing now.
We need to acknowledge that these people are mentally deranged. Sorry to be so rude about it, but it's just true. It's insane and huge abomination that an old person can do such a thing. When you talk of history, there was a time when young girls were being married, but humanity entirely has evolved. That right now we have laws that are there to protect the ladies. That's writtenly to protect the ladies so that they won't be abused, they will have time to be matured so that they can make their own decisions according to what they want, not what the society wants or what the parent wants for them. It's there written that only an adult, 21, 18 years at least. It is very, very bad, and it happens mostly in Africa, and to be precise, in Nigeria, since we're focusing on Nigeria.
I think what you're actually doing now is you're actually opening, a whole new Pandora's box, which has not even been addressed in Nigeria. It's like a time bomb, waiting to like blow up, and which is the issue of, molesters and pedophiles. It's something that's, like we talk about rape and gender violence and all that. That issue, which you have just harped on, is something that has not even been touched at all. If and one thing you have to realize, like I think Umar mentioned earlier on, is this, they are pedophiles, and child molesters. These guys have deep psychological issues which have not even been, touched or even been addressed at all. So no one is actually dealing with all these people. So you get a pedophile in Ikeja, living in Ikeja, moving to Abuja, and then moving on, or moving all around, doing their thing. So basically, this is one issue, that no one has dealt with. So you have to. So when you connect that to, the question you're asking now, you get a little bit of clarity, which is number one, we have pedophiles. Then number two, one thing we cannot remove from the whole issue as well is the whole diabolic thing, which is palpable and is there. It might not be on the TVs and all that, but it's there. You get all sorts of reports, of educated, enlightened individuals, who are actually indulging in all sorts of terrible, evil rituals, that has to do with, sleeping with kids and, and all that, just to get some things. So that is also there as well. I remember in the UK, I think probably some years ago, when they found the body of a kid by I think River Thames, and the whole thing was, I think till today, they discovered that the kid is actually Nigerian, is of Nigerian birth age, but they actually were not able to get, to get to the root of it. If you remember the case of the Victoria Klimby as well, I think she's from another part of Africa, the little kid as well, brought to the UK. So the point I'm trying to make is these beliefs, all these beliefs and all these beliefs that we have actually imported it, even outside Nigeria as well.
So how do you explain you defiling a young child? I did research on this, and I found out that, not to make excuses for rapists, but I found out that some men actually have a gene that is naturally abusive. They don't tend to know the difference between a mature child or an underage child. To them, anything goes, even animals, they go, because they have that gene in them. It's very violent. So I think, like Bumola has really said, or Lafti, I beg your pardon, it's diabolical sometimes. Because I read a story of a man who said he raped his daughter just to get a job. Like, what father rapes his own child? I mean, your own child. It's just madness. I don't know how to explain it. How can a father rape his own child on the basis of, I want to get a job? Is our blood supposed to purify your boss, or is our blood supposed to make you pass your interview? It's about mentality. Because I can't just explain how child abuse or underage rape occurs, but I just believe is acts of wickedness.
One thing I've always said, and one thing I've always said anyway is the police, law enforcement and whatnot, they are a product of our society. Our brothers, our sisters, they are the ones in the police. So if you look at the society as a whole, like I said much earlier on, it is the perception of the society, about rape, the perception of most men about rape, and about sexual and whatnot, that is actually replicating, that is coming out, that is being highlighted in the police. Another thing as well, that I've said before is the police themselves, I mean the Nigerian police now, they are not educated enough about rape, about pedophilia, about all these issues. When I mean, it's not a secret. We all know. Most of these rank and file, even up to DPO, we all know most of them. Especially I think probably from DPO downwards. I think most of them actually rise through the ranks. From like the rank and file. Up to that. Up to that rank. So when you look at how they started, some started with like school starts, some started with probably nothing. So comparing, when you compare their intellectual makeup, their intellectual depth, you can't compare it to like a graduate that got to the place. So when you combine these two together, number one, you have a product of the society that thinks it is okay to like that subjugate women sexually, or and then when you now combine it with a semi-literate or someone that is actually when you now combine it to a semi-literate with absolutely no real education and enlightenment about rape, and then you combine these two together, then you start getting these issues with the DPO. And the funny thing is that what the DPO has actually done is it's not an isolated case. It's something that has been happening like years and years before. It's been happening. It's normal. Because I live quite close to Sheraton Hotel. Where the prostitutes stand. Around in front of the Sheraton Hotel in Ikeja, you see prostitutes, stand there. I remember back when I was still in back home in Nigeria, you would see, many of those policemen actually will raid the prostitutes, and when they raid them, then they have, they sleep with those, those prostitutes. And the funny thing is that much later when I was in Nigeria nowadays, I actually interviewed one of the prostitutes, and she actually said, it's the way she said it. She was actually justifying it. Like she found it normal that no big deal.
The VAT bill is just to ensure that victims of rape get justice. That's basically what it is about. Though it has different sections, it has places where it protects you from acid attacks, from rape, from abuse, and general stuff. But reading everything through, VAT bill is just to ensure that victims of rape don't suffer. It's to ensure that they don't have to actually prove rape. Once an allegation is made, facts or investigation should carried out, facts extracted, justice served. That's what the VAT bill is about. So just to ensure that victims of rape don't keep suffering or keep mute about the incident because of the fear of not having justice, is to ensure that perpetrators of this act don't just roam the streets looking for the next victim to hurt. They are behind bars. That's what VAT bill is about.
You can join the conversation. Send your views using the hashtag #StandToEndRape. We'll take a break, and when we return, Ayodeji Oshobi will join us.